I'm Don Vaughn, co-founder and CEO of Ampa. My career started in academia, did neuroscience, but really what's brought me to this stage here is a personal story. And this is the one of my mother-in-law. So this is Joyce on the left, holding my beautiful baby boy right after he was born. And Joyce has been depressed for honestly most of her adult life. She's failed every antidepressant you can think of. She's failed ECT, she's had memory loss, and she was truly at the end of her ropes, and she didn't want to live anymore. And it wasn't until my now co-founder and amazing colleague said, you have to try this brain stimulation thing. It's non-invasive. I've been working on it for a while. It's really starting to work. So we drove Joyce in every single day for weeks and weeks and weeks to get this brain stimulation. And miraculously, she has come out of it. Yeah. She's living her best life now. So I left the startup I was at that time, and I co-founded Ampa with the audacious goal that we're going to hit 1 billion remissions with this technology. And so Ampa is designed to figure out what does the future look like if there's a way to precisely tune the circuits of the brain. So I'll tell you a little bit about this particular technology. It's called transcranial magnetic stimulation. So transcranial means goes across your head, and magnetic stimulation means it delivers very powerful doses of magnetic energy, as strong as an fMRI, but with the precision of about a nickel. And so there's no electric shocks. It's always the first unanswered question. This is a very different technology. It's magnetism. And essentially what you're doing is you're putting a device next to somebody's head. It's non-invasive. And you deliver these pulses in such a way that you can reactivate the circuits in the brain that have been disabled by depression. And thanks to years of science and fMRI and PET, we have pretty decent maps of generally where that lives in the brain. So you're essentially sending your brain to physical therapy. You're sending it to rehab, and you're building those circuits back up, and people tend to feel like themselves again. So there's a lot to like about TMS. It's effective, I mean, especially when compared to meds. It's fast, it's safe, there's a very light side effect profile. And you might wonder, well, what does that really look like? I don't know if anyone's looked deeply at the rigorous data on this, but there's kind of an abysmal rate to using canonical antidepressants. Out of 4 people who get one of them will see remission on the very first one. And that's horrible, except for when you look at the subsequent medications, which gets worse and worse and worse. So people, you can see, they're hopeless for a reason. By contrast, TMS out there in the wild, 15 years of FDA clearance, about a 50% remission rate. 50. That's tremendous. And so you might ask yourself, well, Don, that sounds great, but you're telling me you have an incredibly low side effect profile, super effective treatment. Why haven't I never heard about it? And that's the reason, is because it takes 36 days. You have to drive people into a clinic, or they have to drive themselves into a clinic for essentially 8 weeks, which is, you know, think about the last time you've done something every day for 8 weeks where you wouldn't get fired or expelled. There's not that many things. So it's hard to do, especially if you barely have the motivation to unload the dishwasher. And so what we asked ourselves at Ampa was, does this have to be the way that it goes? Is there any way that we could take TMS, which has been around for so long, and put it in the same bucket as a ketamine, as psilocybin, as something that is a rapid-acting, one-day mental health treatment? That is, people have tried this about 15 years ago, and it didn't work very well. And so we looked back at the problem, and so here's our key innovation that we just published on back in November of last year, is that you take neuromodulation, and you add in chemical agents that enhance your brain's plasticity. So you can think about it like fertilizing the soil before you plant the seed of TMS. And it turns out that makes a tremendous difference, and that is what's been missing. It's combining brain stimulation with medicational adjuvants that are FDA approved in order to increase neuroplasticity. So what we've taken is a 36-day treatment with the 50% remission rate, and we had hoped that when you take that and you pair the entire course down to one long day, like a boot camp, that you wouldn't lose too much efficacy. If we had a 1 in 3 shot of not being depressed from one day with very low side effects without a psychedelic journey, that sounds amazing. That's exactly what I'd love to roll out there. And we sat on this data for months until we've now run over 200 patients, because we just didn't believe it. But in one day, when you combine brain stimulation, non-invasive, with pharmaceutical adjuvants, you get 2 out of 3 people out of depression. Yeah. And thanks to One Mind and the help that they behind us, this is translated. So anywhere from from San Francisco to San Jose, it's now in clinics, all the way to Sanford, Connecticut, across the U.S. This is being rolled out now. There's for sure. I'm a scientist by training. There's more studies need to be run, more data needs to be gathered, of course. But plus or minus 5 points on the effect size, this is a real thing that is now possible. I've had family members go through it. I went through it 3 months ago after a heck of a hard time going through all the trials and tribulations of this, and now we're on the other side of that. So it's been an amazing journey. This is my hope that the future of mental health, I think this is a transformational moment where I believe it will start to look different for the first time in a long time than the past. Thanks. And one more thing. We now have 60 patients we've run, and it looks like it works just as well for anxiety. So, thank you. So we're submitting this to the FDA now. We'll have to run a trial for anxiety. That's not an on-label indication. So if anyone is interested in supporting, being involved, driving this forward, there's 42 million Americans that are suffering from general anxiety disorders right now. Would love your help. Thanks for being here.